Hello, viewers. It's Cynthia Michael for the Review, bringing you a new podcast from my channel called the Project Red Review. So basically, this is a new podcast. This is a new podcast called the Project Red Review series. So basically, all talking shock that falls on the Project Red will be reviewed by me. So anyway. Like always, I'm going to speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly, in case you didn't understand me. Also, I try to do my best not to be too hard during this audio podcast recording as well, not to cause any audio podcast, not to cause any audio podcast feedback as well. And finally, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will change to adult language. Once again, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will change to adult language. Now, if you're over 18, that means you have to watch this audio podcast recording. Now, with this everything else out the way, let's get into the topic. Let's get into the second episode, Super Space Ship Gavan Affinity. So anyway, basically after taking down a terrorist that was using Emogear that spawned a monster, Gavan was, Raging, aka Gavan Affinity, was was met by a ally named Cessna. Cessna, it turns out he's so right now someone that Raging is in a different universe. And basically, turns out that Cessna is the Gavin shift of that universe. So basically, that's it. Even though that Raging showed that he's a good guy, and whatnot, but he's not. Cessna is not sure about him, and basically he's summoned some backup, and basically after he transformed into Bushido, so basically turns out that Cessna, just like Gavan, he could also use a Emogear and a Gavan trigger to transform into Gavan spaceship Gavan Bushido. So anyway, Gavin doesn't want to. So basically, Raging doesn't want to fight him and whatnot, and basically, he had his people surround Raging and whatnot. And out of nowhere, the Emogear that was used by the terrorists started to open up open up this portal that looks like an evil smile face, and basically turns out that illegal Emogears can open up portals into Mercury spaces between different dimensions and spaces between different dimensions. So basically, it was sucking everything into it, and that's when Raging uses his Gavin triggers emotional finish to destroy the portal, for sucking anything and to stop the portal for sucking anything else or anybody else inside. Lucky for them, nobody was stuck into the portal. So basically, after he stopped. After Raging stopped, took down the portal and whatnot, Cessna tried to arrest him with some cuffs, but, Cessna, managed to get away, and basically, Raging after he stopped the portal for, trying to suck them all up, Cessna tried to lock Raging up, but Raging got away, etc., etc. Anyway, so basically, once Raging got away, Cessna said that, I'll get him later. Let's take this terrorist dude to lock up and whatnot. So anyway, So anyway, we see Raging, Raging, visit the terrorists, so basically Raging went to go visit the terrorist brother while his crew on a ship used a special satellite called the satellite laser and attached it to the cosmic Gavatron ship and basically they use it to get rid of all the remote energy, the pink remote energy that was used by the terrorists, and therefore turn Bushido's Earth back to its proper color and whatnot. So anyway, so basically Racing went to go visit, so basically Racing went to go see the terrorist brother. So basically who got hurt during the fight was the remote monster. So basically Racing was like, was asking that how you doing and whatnot, and saw his Emogear, which is the rage Emogear, and basically like asking questions that where did your brother get that Emogear? I don't know where he got it from, but ever since he got it, when he got it, he just got changed all of a sudden. He wanted to take over the government and whatnot. So basically, well, sometimes those dark Emogears, can change a person's personality and whatnot. Once they get them and whatnot. But still, your brother's alright and whatnot, but, he surrendered and whatnot. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna do some time, but he's gonna be fine. Anyway, somewhere in Mercury space, we see the guy who was behind selling the terrorist dude that Raging took down, and basically he was like, he was head of the syndicate on Comrade Bushido's world and whatnot, and basically he was telling his business partner, which is another space. Which is a spaceship with broken armor that's black and almost kind of looks like Raging, kind of looks like Raging in his in his Gavan affinity form. So basically we see this unknown spaceship with this kind of broken armor that kind of looks like Gavan's, but a little black and purple and whatnot. He's saying that, that terrorist that you saw that Emogear for, maybe you should make sure that he doesn't squeal on you. And basically, so basically, the mysterious spaceship was like, make sure that terrorist dude doesn't, whack you out, cause the business has been going good, in this, on this earth, business has been going good, on this earth. So basically, the head of the syndicate, some weird fat guy with a cyber arm, decided to go take out the terrorist who got locked up for using the Emogear that he sells and whatnot, and basically doesn't want him to rat on his illegal Emogear enterprise or whatnot. So anyway, Bushido was taking the terrorists to to lock up, and basically, the fat dude and his goons started to attack Bushido and the convoy, and basically, Bushido's men got taken out, and basically Bushido men, some of them men took the terrorists away from the battle, and the head of the syndicate who was selling the illegal Emogear showed up. The fat dude with the cyber arm, tried to fight Bushido. Bushido did not turn into his Gavan affinity, form. He was trying to fight fight on his own, and basically, and that's when Raging showed up, and basically, saved, saved Cessna from, from the ambush by the head of the syndicate who's selling, who sold the Emogear to the terrorist dude and whatnot, and basically, the terror. So basically, the head of the syndicate that was selling the Emogear on Bushido's Earth was like, use a dark Emogear to give his man power up and whatnot, etc. And basically, Setsuna was pretty much without power until Rachel showed up and they forced to retreat. So anyway, somewhere, so basically hiding somewhere, it looked like some warehouse somewhere it was hiding. Rachel turns out that Cessna is an android. So basically, like so basically Cessna say that I'm an android, and basically after Cessna healed himself and whatnot, and basically I can only feel the only emotion I can feel is pain. So basically, but I like to experience feeling other emotions as well, and basically Raging listened to Cessna's story, he wandered around for a while, and basically he joined the galactic police on his world, and basically he was promoted to space. He became Gavin, Space Sheriff Gavin Bushido, and whatnot. So basically, I understand, but and basically, Raging explained that just like you, I have a job too. My job is to go, take down criminals that use illegal Emogears, and basically, and make sure they get locked up and take those illegal Emogears away, and see those illegal Emogears are disposed and whatnot. So anyway, so basically after Rachel explained himself, he said, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you take down that syndicate dude that's selling Emogears on your Earth." So anyway, so basically, Raging caught up with the syndicate leader who was selling the illegal Emogears, and also sell it to the terrorists. And basically, he did that. So basically, he transformed into Gavin Infinity, for the syndicate leader. So basically, just showed up and transformed as well. So basically, it turns out that if you use a dark Emogear properly, you could summon a emote monster and whatnot. So basically, Cessna was fighting against the remote monster while Raging was fighting against the syndicate leader who was selling illegal Emogears. And out of nowhere, the syndicate leader realized that tried one, so basically using the Emogear to open a portal to Merc space, where his base operation was. So anyway, Gavin. So basically, Rachel summoned his ship, and basically him and Cessna chased after the remote monster and syndicate leader who was selling those illegal, those dark market Emogears into Merc space, where he had his base, at. So basically, Gavin saw his, little his big spaceship that that was his headquarters in that Merc space, and basically he decided to call his bosses to to get authority to transform his ship into his mecha form, and basically the cosmic Gavatron ship into his mecha form, into his robot mecha form, and basically turns out he has to get approval. So we just have to get approval from his bosses to order to get finger like a finger approval to transform his ship into its robot form. And basically, while Bushido was taking down the syndicate leader and the remote monster, he took down the syndicate's ship that he was selling. Took down the ship that he was that the syndicate leader was selling Emogears from. And basically, once the ship was destroyed, once the Raging destroyed the ship, Cessna took down the emo monster, and basically, and defeated the syndicate leader. They got once the ship is destroyed, it turns out that Merc Space is also destroyed as well, because turns out that the ship is is maintaining the Merc Space, that is maintaining the stabilization of the Merc Space that they're in. And they got out, and basically they got out in time, and basically Gavin made sure that the portal was closed behind them and whatnot, and basically the day was saved. So basically Sessina was like, I was wrong about you, so sorry for the mess up and whatnot, and basically to Raging and whatnot. So basically and Raging said, who knows, and like Raging, who knows, maybe we can maybe we can work together again. Who knows when I have to go back to my world, but maybe in the future we can work together. Maybe we can work together. Somewhere in the future, or whatnot. When I basically come back to Earth, whenever. And basically, Raging and his crew, walk back to his basically, use the Dementor on the cosmic Gavarion ship to go back to their world, and Cessna took the syndicate leader that was selling the illegal Emogears, and to lock up and whatnot. As for the mysterious Gavin that was kind of supplying him with those illegal Emogears, he was watching from the shadows, and basically, this is how the episode ended with Raging and his crew, basically, back on their, going back to their universe, and basically we see, and basically this is how the episode ended on this note. So anyway, this is how the episode ended with Raging and his crew going back to the Earth after helping spaceship, after helping Cessna, who is a spaceship of his world. And basically this is how the episode ended on this note. And basically with the mysterious Gavin looking upon Cessna locking up the syndicate leader, who the mysterious Gavin who was looking at the syndicate leader getting locked up, who he was supplying to those illegal dark Emogears and whatnot. And basically that's how the episode ended on this note. So anyway, we gotta think about the second episode of Super Space Scatter. Good, bad, or just okay. Keep it level times and all. Anyway, signing off for 3 reviews. 1.